This is the crew. This is the crew.
I'm Donovan from the Off Limits Show.
This is the crew.
And I'm Ken Boggle. I'll be here anyway.
This is the crew.
And I'm David from the 5x5.
This is the crew.
Are we rolling?
This is the crew. This is the crew.
Are we rolling?
This is the crew. This is the crew.
Are we
This
rolling?
is the crew. This is the crew.
Are we
This
rolling?
is the crew. This is the crew. This is the crew.
This is a question that I have been waiting to answer, for so long. And it is, who were you in a past life? Donovan, who were you, lover?
Well, I know who I was because I went through a past life regression, and I know what I was told. And this was I think the two lifetimes ago, which wasn't long ago, which means I lived a lifetime between now and then. I think I must have been in a war and died or something. But anyway, I apparently was a Nazi in Germany and was forced to be a Nazi because it was against my will. I didn't want to be there. However, it was the prevailing the time I was in, blah, 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 and I was forced to do it because I couldn't feed my family without it, and I had to do something, and so I did it. And I wasn't in the SS, though. The SS is the one that did all the German, the whole horrible extermination of the Jews, etc. But I was a Nazi in Germany. And so when I was told this by, when I was awake and everything, I was told this, and I was like, wow. And so I started crying, had this huge visceral reaction, and I was like completely bawling. I mean, literally like the ugly cry, and like, because I had such a horrible reaction to know that someone that I would know that I would never in a million years, condone what Nazis stood for. And it just really killed me inside to know that I was party to that. But that's who I was. And ended up living my life out after the war, actually, not being arrested or anything. So that's what happened to me. Nothing interesting, sorry.
I think that's terribly interesting.
I know, I'm just kidding. Go ahead.
Oh, well, see, and the fact that you had that, we were talking earlier, Donovan, about that, you said it's a knowing. It's that reaction that you have that is just a knowing.
Yes, I knew it was true because I knew before she told me. She said, you're in the cold, it's wet, you were in the cold and I was wet and everything else I would say. Excuse me. And I remember as soon as I heard that coming out, I was like, wow, I was a Nazi. And then sure enough, I was a Nazi. And I always knew that somehow in the back of my head. I don't know why. And one more thing I want to say about it, though, is the reason that I am where I am, who I am today, is because of that lifetime. I have no tolerance for injustice. I have no tolerance for bigotry, hatred of any kind. And so because of that lifetime, what I learned in that lifetime and as a result of living who I was, this lifetime I use to kind of transmute that karma. And so that's why I am who I am now, half biracial, half black, half white, homosexual, non-Christian man. So that's why I am.
Well, say you hit the trifecta.
Yes, I did.
But you still use, what do you drive? You drive a BMW, right?
Yeah.
And they made
German.
the ovens.
They were made by the Nazis initially.
So it's not that you're a Nazi anymore. You just support the technology.
Come on. German technology. You can't beat it when it comes to carbs.
David, how about you, lover? Who do you think you were in a past life?
Boy, I don't know if he believes in it. You need to ask him that.
Yeah, and I don't know if I specifically believe in it, but if I was going to entertain the fantasy of it, for me, because I guess what you're saying, your past life kind of dictates your present life.
It can.
It can, yeah.
I must have really been a horrible person. I would have to say, I don't know anybody in particular, but I don't think I was a good person. I think I was a mean-spirited, not a nice person. I think I'm getting a lot of that karma back in my present life.
Because of your family.
Because of my family, I think I was very, very selfish and mean-spirited, controlling. I think I was really, really wealthy because I'm not now.
And you want to be.
And I want to be. And everything I've tried has kind of not worked out, as I wanted to work out. But I just think I wasn't the best of people, and I think all that past life karma has caught up with me in this lifetime.
Well, I just want to interject something real quick, though. You know that your entire lifetime that you live this life is not have to be dictated by what you were in a previous life. Meaning, there's a certain point in your life where you, like I said about myself, where you transmute your karma. So you've served your penance or whatever, if you want to call it that. So there's a certain part of your life. I don't know how bad you were, or you consider yourself to have been, possibly, but once there reaches a point in your life, whether it's your entire life, possibly yes, or it's just a portion of your life, where you have to deal with the negative aspects of your karma. So just because you feel that way now doesn't mean your entire life is going to be that way, if indeed you believe this at all.
So what Donovan's saying is basically that your karma of the past life, since we're entertaining the fantasy, is that the karma of your past life is not a life sentence in this life.
Not necessarily a life sentence.
It could be.
It could be.
Maybe that's why I'm single, because I must have had I must have been either a womanizer or what is this thing, as a manizer or a whoremonger in my past life, because I'm single. Because I'm a single gay man and fat and all that kind of good stuff. And
oh God! Stop.
So Ken, what did you find out?
Okay, so I totally believe in all of that now. I totally believe in reincarnation now because of this long situation that I've been in, and I'll try to reduce it as simply as possible. Let's see if I can not ramble. I was Gary Hinman in a past life. Now, Gary Hinman is the first person who was killed by the Manson family, respectively. They thought that he owed Charlie some money, and he had just received an inheritance from his mother, and they did not like the fact that he was a Buddhist and that he chanted, and Charlie came in, cut his ear off, stabbed him in the chest and in the stomach, and I guess the girls sewed his ear back on with dental floss, and they took turns smothering him with a pillow for 3 days until he finally died. Now, what is interesting to me is that when he died, he was chanting Nam Myoho Renge Kyo, which is what I chant now in this life, having had no knowledge that that's how this guy died until recently. Mm-hmm. That said that he also died clutching his prayer beads, which anybody who knows me knows that those are one of the most important parts of my prayer room, is that the beads that I use are in a specific bag, they're in a specific place, they're treated with oil. I'm very hardcore about that particular part of the practice.
You respect them.
I do, because I'm not really sure why. I just have this feeling that is the way I'm supposed to do it. Okay. And I did a past life regression and discovered that he was a band teacher and that he had this passion and love for music. He played the drums, the piano, the trumpet. And in this life, I am self-taught on the drums, piano, and a number of other instruments. I just pick them up and play them. And I'm not really sure why, but that's a big part of what I do now. And it gets so much it gets so far beyond creepy. For as long as I can remember, I've always compared places that I live to Laurel Canyon, which is actually where he was killed.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, in L.A.
And I would go to different houses, in my adult life before I even knew about Gary, really. Because everybody's really focused on Sharon Tate and the LaBiancas, Nobody really talks about Gary Hinman because they didn't even think he was a part of the Manson family murders. Mm-hmm. But he was killed in Laurel Canyon, so I'm like, shut up, I'm very freaked out about all that. And he was also very bad with money. I am very bad with money. Even when I grew up poor, you'd think that somebody who comes along with money would treat it better, but not me. No, I still spend it like it's nothing. Mm-hmm. I went to my psychic this weekend, and she said to me, Gary Hinman, he is either your past life or he is a spirit guide for you in this life.
Interesting.
It's terribly interesting, and it's so, the thing that really gets me is the fact that he was this really rare type of Buddhist, and the fact that I came from a place called Hippo Holler. This kid was supposed to be a Bible-beating Southern Baptist. You know what I mean? That's what I was supposed to be, and I knew years and years and years and years ago that wasn't for me. I also could describe Woodstock before I was 10. and I wasn't there. Oh yeah, I know. And especially with my father, who's like playing Jefferson Airplane, I'm like, oh. At the age of 8, I'm like, I know this song because I saw them do it live. And he's like,
What?
8. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But Laurel Canyon is where a lot of that came from. A lot of that hippie music and the groove of the '60s and things, and that has always been my music. And I've always been in love with music, much like Gary, I guess. So yeah, that's who I was in a past life. However, psychic medium Chip Coffey. Do you know who Chip Coffey is, guys? The guy from Paranormal State and
Psychic Kids.
yeah. Yeah, Psychic Kids. Well, he told me that I actually starved to death in the Holocaust, which I blame that on Donovan.
Oh my God, it must be my fault.
No, how else would I know you in this
I
life?
tried to give you some food, but you didn't look like you needed it. So
That's lies and deceit, and we both know
What a
it.
read.
He read me like a book and then
That
returned
was a
me.
read, right?
well, he's calling me a Nazi. Hello, go ahead.
All I'm saying is that now we know each other in this life, and because of you, I'm a binge eater. That's all I know.
Well, that would make sense. Well, what do you feel about? I mean, how did you feel about what you were told or what you discovered? I mean, how do you feel about it emotionally?
I cried. I'm the hair all over my body, even my back, stood up on end. Like I was just like, oh, it was really heavy. I felt really heavy, and I was getting this constant chill. As even after the regression was over, I had this constant chill, and it was like we said earlier, it was some kind of knowing, like at the
Right.
root of who I was when I saw a picture of him. I completely fell apart because it was like I, for whatever reason, am attached to this guy. And I mean, it was just a knowing. It was something that I just felt. I instinctively knew.
Right, that it was true. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's how I felt. I understand that feeling completely, and it's an interesting experience. David, you should have a past life reading someday, whether you read it, you believe in it or not. It should be
Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah.
Yes.
I'm not doing that. I don't want to know.
They're gonna say you're the Marquis de Sade or something. And
Okay. No, because I think you have to have some type of belief going into it, and not that I don't believe it, but I don't know. I don't know.
think that's true. There's many people. I mean, I don't agree with that because I have many people who are atheists and who believe in absolutely nothing at all. No Christianity, no Buddhism, no nothing at all, no nothing, and they don't believe that we live on or anything. And yet they've had past life regressions, and they're hearing their own voices tell themselves a story, or to some degree, and being from a recording. I mean, when they're out or whatever, and being able to actually understand that there is something beyond this. And there's plenty of examples where little kids, like Cam was talking about earlier, when he was a kid, 10 years old, knowing what Woodstock was like and recognizing the music that his father was playing. There was actually an example of a kid in London who actually was always saying, he was like 5 years old, always talking about these planes, or 4 or 5 years old, talking about planes and going down in a plane, how he died in a plane, and and the World War II, and giving specific, very specific details about a very particular plane that was no longer made in the 80s, and was very, very, very knowledgeable about crap that a kid could not know. And he himself was not fed this information. He was telling his parents this, he was telling his teachers this, he was drawing it. I mean, there's proof of it. You don't have to believe it, David, but I'm just saying that my point is even if you had it someday and you go in not believing that it's possible, it doesn't mean that by the time you come out of it, you won't. Because the visceral reaction that I had, that apparently Ken had as well to it, it's something that's like, seriously deep within your soul. And that's how I knew it was true, because people have told me, I've been to psychics before, and psychics say, oh, you were so-and-so. You were this person. Somebody told me I was Van Gogh. I'm like, whatever. And so I'm like, whatever. And I knew this is all bullshit, right? None of it resonated with me. None of it did. And yet when I went through this experience, I knew in my soul, and I felt it. That's why I had this. I was crying. I can't tell you how I was crying. I was like crying, and just like I couldn't stop crying for like 10 minutes. And that's because it was true. And you know it in your soul. Just like you, David, know something in your soul. You believe in God, whatever. The way you know that there's a God is the way that I knew that this was true about me. So we disagree about whether it's true or not, but I know that whether it was true or not in your eyes, it was an experience I had for me that really meant something. And I know it was the same for Ken. So it would be the same for you. I
Well,
think.
I got to ask David this question. David, do you ever find yourself with like unreasonable fears? Like, do you have like any unreasonable phobias?
Yes.
Of what?
Love? No, I'm
No.
joking.
Oh my
No,
god!
you can
How
edit
does
this
it get
part
bad?
out. No, here's the thing about bad teeth.
Oh, that's something totally different.
Well, but
was
the reason
was
I
I a dentist
asked-
in my former life? That would
Maybe.
That would
Well, that's the reason why I ask, is because there's a philosophy that you hold on to these deep-seated fears or these thoughts from your past life.
Well, if you
Some
don't
people
resolve
are
it.
scared of sharks and they live in the desert. It's like, well, why? Well, because it may have come from past life. That's the philosophy or theory, anyway.
I don't know enough about it. And I like to know a little bit, like what I'm walking into, and you guys have shared you guys' past experiences or past life experiences. I want to know a little bit more. I don't know. It's something that's never really appealed to me because I just don't believe it. Maybe.
So just because we're talking about this quickly, I know you're a Christian. So as a Christian, do you not believe in reincarnation at all? You believe that we live one time only and we die and we go to heaven or whatever?
I was going to say that, but I didn't want to take this into a whole religious direction.
Well, you can
Yeah.
always make a third show. It's okay. Just go on.
Yeah, this is going to probably be two anyhow. But
Donovan's like, oh, please, let's have some scandal. Let's have an argument.
I'm not arguing
It's
about
not
religion.
arguing. It's not arguing. I'm just interested in knowing what he believes.
No, I truly believe you're born. You have one soul, and that soul transcends either to, and when you go to the afterlife, either to heaven or hell. Because you guys, I guess, Ken, I know you're a Buddhist, correct?
Yeah. Converted from Christian.
Yeah, for me, that doesn't work for my life.
So for
I'm
you,
gonna say,
you live one time only.
yeah,
So
that's what I believe.
I'm just asking you. This is the way. This is one reason I feel that is illogical. Only reason I feel not because I'm saying you're illogical. I'm just saying that the Christian belief system or that part of it is illogical to me personally. In my mind, is because I find that there's no way. What's the purpose of life? What do you think the purpose of life is, David? Why are we here?
Oh,
think so.
Lord.
That-
That
that's
could
a
take
question.
forever.
That's
No,
for
just
me.
seriously.
That's not a question I can answer because the person who I think, or the entity that made me put me on this earth to help people and share his word. Not
Okay.
that I do it, but I don't for any other reason than that.
David says I have two responsibilities and I'm only doing one. Take it or leave
Well,
it.
I'm a realist. I can't say I'm not a Bible beater. I don't do that, but I
Right.
do believe there's something bigger than myself that created me and my one soul for my one life.
Well, see-
I do believe that.
That's cool. I just what I was going to say is I also believe there's a higher power or whatever you want to call it. I don't call it necessarily God, but which we call it whatever you want to call it. But I do believe there's a higher power, and we're here. But for me, unlike what you're saying, for me, I can't imagine living one lifetime as, for example, someone who's blonde hair, blue eyes, and extremely wealthy and has no bigotry in their life and never experienced it or anything like that at all. Their entire lifetime is filled with their family and friends and tons of money, and they die happy and perfect and great, wonderful, terrific, wonderful, okay. And then they die. And that person's lived one lifetime of many types of lives that person could have lived. They could have lived as a Buddhist, they could have lived as a Muslim, they could have lived as a black person, white person, Jew, whatever. And all of these experiences are different types of experiences to experience. And so for me, because there's such a plethora of human experience in the world, and there's more than humanity, but I won't go into that. But anyway, there's so much a plethora of human experience in the world that it's impossible for someone to truly grow spiritually, in my opinion, this is just my opinion, with living only one lifetime. You have to actually have walked in a man's shoes to understand what he's lived. And so the only way to do that, in my mind, is to come back again and again and again until your spirit is evolved to the point where you don't have to come back again unless you choose to. So that's what I think. That's
But I want to throw this in for David because I think that maybe it should be said. Donovan, just as you and I had that kind of knowing about our past existences, he has that same feeling. And stop me if I'm wrong, David, but you have that same feeling about your religious belief that it is a knowing. You inherently feel that this is what is. It is. This is. You live, you die, heaven or hell. That's what you feel. Am I right? I mean, that's what you know to be true.
Basically, yeah.
Or do you feel that way because that's how you were raised?
I think it's a mixture of both. And I've had this discussion with you. A lot of my religion background comes from tradition and my own personal beliefs. Mm-hmm. I think it's a mix of both.
So, but wouldn't you think that you have ever met someone that you knew without having met them in this life? You just sort of knew them?
No, I think people connect on different levels. Let's call it pheromones, call it, intuition, whatever. To me, I wouldn't apply it to a past life experience.
I have to say though, just as like a 1 minute anecdote, when I was 20 years old, I met this guy on the phone. Yes, like a phone sex line. Yes. Okay. And it wasn't like It wasn't like a phone sex line. It was just like a dating line. Anyway, so we talked for like a week or 2 weeks or 3 weeks, whatever. Finally, we met at my apartment, and he came to the door. I opened the door. And it was not just like I knew this person. It was like I was fucking bowled over. Like our eyes, like it wasn't just a sexual attraction. It was there, but it wasn't that. It was like, oh my God, I know you. That's the feeling I had. Like when you see somebody on the street, you're like, I know that person. And it's just like beyond that. It's like this transcendent experience. I don't know how to explain it. That's the only time I've experienced that in my entire lifetime. And I know that he and I were connected. It did not work out for all the right reasons, by the way. But that's why it didn't work out, because we had always had past lives together that we depended upon one another. And once we got together, we didn't grow. We used each other as an excuse not to grow emotionally and other ways as well. And anyway, so that's my point is I've experienced that before. And so I don't know if you want to call it just sexual attraction or you want to call it whatever you said, David. But to me, it's just as visceral as the reaction I had about my past life regression experience and how you feel about your religion. That's why I feel so vehemently about it, because I've experienced it.
But did he reciprocate? Did he reciprocate?
Yes, he did.
He did.
Yes, he felt exactly the same way. It was like intense. I mean, I cannot explain to you the intensity we had. It was, I can't put it into words, guys. I wish I could. I wish I were a poet or something. I can't put it into words. I can't. But it was transcendent. I guess that's the best word I can use. We had this connection that both of us, we literally looked at each other in the eyes. I can still see it in my head. It's burned in my memory, looking at him when I first opened the door in his eyes and knowing him. I know you.
But now, come on, doesn't a lot of that stem to the fact that you two were sexually involved afterward? I mean, don't you think that maybe it clouds the
No, because I've
you
had.
don't
I've
think
had
it clouds the experience at all? You don't think
No, I don't, because I've had that experience I've met guys many times. I've had talked to or whatever, and then met up and never had that experience again. It's only happened one time in my entire lifetime, and it was with him. And incidentally, as I've talked about previously before, I had a suicide attempt or whatever when I was 20 years old, actually, and that was over him. So yes.
Oh no.
Anyway, my point is that I know it's hard. Who the hell knows the truth? None of us know the truth.
Exactly.
All of us know what we feel, and what we feel is the truth.
Yeah, we know our truth.
Yes, exactly, and that's all we can do. That's the best we can do.
This is the crew.
Oh, and we should do like a sign-off, each of us. Like, I'm Donovan from the Off Limits Show.
And I'm Ken Boggle. I'll be here anyway.
And this is David from the 5x5.
Thanks for listening.
Bye, guys.
See you next week. Bye.
That sounds good.
Okay, that was good. I enjoyed it.
I'm going to stop recording now. Hello.